Hey, my friend, it's Brendon Burchard, and as you can see with the timer above, this class is just about to start for you. And over the next 3 days, you're gonna learn how the world's top coaches really develop the mindset, the methodology, and the offers and promotions to build real coaching businesses. You're gonna love this. Now, before we start, you'll see the timer clicking down here. Before we start, two very simple things. Number one, stop everything else you're doing, grab a journal, get ready to take a lot of notes. You're gonna find this 3 days extremely valuable, and I promise you it will open up your mind to a whole new way of earning and building and making your impact as a coach and creator. Second, if there's any reason you're gonna miss the next 3 days, or you just want to, in advance, own this entire life coaching class from me, you can actually pre-purchase it right now to own it forever. For just $47, you'll get all 3 days unlocked right now. So you don't have to show up tomorrow and the next day and hope you can catch it. You can just pre-purchase it and actually own it forever. I think that's important because we got so much feedback. That's why I'm recording this for you now. That's, oh my, I missed this. Could you replay that? Could you do this? I'm like, well, actually, the way that we're broadcasting it again right now, you can just purchase it and own it and watch it on your own time. Also, when you do that, I want to give a gift to you, which is so many coaches, as they're starting their business, what they really need is somebody to talk to. They need to hop on the phone with a consultant or a strategy advisor and say, what's your business like? What are you doing already? What is your programming? What's your curriculum look like? How do you coach people? What are you doing in your personal branding? How much are you charging? All those questions that you probably need a professional to ask you, my team will do it for you for free if you purchase the life coaching class. Again, just 47 bucks. That call alone is like $500 of value to talk to somebody who's on a team that has sold hundreds of millions of dollars of coaching. So I really want you to take advantage of this. You can pre-purchase again. Down below, you'll see you can purchase it for $47. You have a 30-day money-back guarantee on it anyway. So you might as well purchase it and let me prove it to you how good it is. And get on the phone with one of my team members to talk about what you want to achieve in your coaching business. Because as you'll hear me talk about, you already yearn to make a difference, right? You're here because you actually care about doing that. You know, I'm on my 20th year full-time as a coach, and I've been blessed to become the #1 high-performance coach in the world and train and certify thousands of the world's best coaches. And what I've learned is that feeling, that impulse you have inside to make a difference in other people's lives, it's never gonna go away. So you might as well build on top of it. You might as well get in the game. You might as well learn to do this and excel at it and really stand out at it. So if you'd like to pre-purchase my life coaching course right now, just for $47, I'll throw in a call with my team to talk about where you're at in your business. Otherwise, please enjoy this training, take tons of notes, and follow that impulse in your heart to make a difference. With that, let me jump into my life coaching class right now. So today, a re-baseline for those joining us for the first time. Coaching is an influence process between you, a client, or a group where you are facilitating the process in which there's greater self-discovery, decision-making, and deliberate habits or discipline towards progress and growth. This is what we're really doing in coaching, right? There's a process, and as I talked about yesterday, and I'll recap today, that process is a program or a curriculum that you build, a space, a session that you build for people to be able to have active self-discovery in their life and to be able to make some new decisions and to move forward. That was on day one, we covered this stuff, so I'll move on faster. I talked about the basic models. We'll go deeper today, that you can have one-on-one clients. You can have cohorts or groups that are higher paid. This is smaller. This is like 6 to 30 people maybe, right? Then you can have larger scale with broad-based open memberships or group coaching, right? This could be all you do. You don't have to do all the other things: books, courses, sponsors, newsletters, podcasts, ads, funnels, and the list goes on, right? Swag, sponsor, like there's so many other things you can go do. I'm here to tell everybody, this is a career. You know, most content creators, did you know in the creator economy, most people are still making less than maybe $70,000? It just depends on where they're at in the country, if they're in a city, if they're in North America, around the world. But you're talking an average of maybe
maybe $40,000 to $70,000. And by the way, I'm not saying that's not a lot of money. I'm just saying that that's the average. But you know what most of those people are doing? They're doing 1,000 things, where this one thing can be 6 figures or 7 figures. And so I just think that we got pulled into being everything. And if you're pulled into being everything and doing everything, no wonder you're overwhelmed. And I look back at my career, and I only chose to start with 2 things. Many of you guys know. I did books because I'm a writer first. I did coaching and then teaching. And that was the order I did it in. Books, coaching, teaching. And that was really the start. I mean, it kind of happened in the same 12-month period of time where I was writing a book, I was teaching an event, and I was coaching. And the first time I ever got paid, though, was as a coach, like actually made money. So I just look back, if I think what they're telling you today, you need to start a show. You need to develop a crew. You need to travel and interview people and do podcasts, YouTubes, go live every single day, do launches, do challenges, hire people and it's like, yeah, that's all good. And I do all of that, but I've got a team and I'm generating, more than $10 million a year for over a decade. So I'm not somebody who is, just doing it by myself, even though this launch I'm doing mostly by myself. I've got a team doing all these other things for me. When I began, I just wanted to earn 6 figures doing this, which I did. Then I hit 7 figures doing this. Then I added on more elements that I went going. But today I'm going to talk about the idea of your first offer. And when I say your first offer, it's going to sound funny because I'm going to talk about building a business where it's like, no, this is your career. This is something you're going to really focus on and cultivate to that 6 and 7 figure levels. Then if you want to go into a million directions, or if you're just somebody, you love doing a million things, hey, don't worry, I got you at the end of today's session. You'll be like, great, okay, there's the map of all the other things. Because some of you're just multi-passionate. You just want to do all the things. You actually like being pulled in every direction. You're really good at doing tons and tons of things. And if you're not doing tons and tons of things, you freak out. You like the variety of everything in this industry, which I totally get too. I just want to make sure that you're earning. I want to make sure that you're earning at the levels of potential you actually have, and that you feel like when you go to bed at the end of each week, you made your difference doing something with somebody. Okay, we'll talk about that too. I talked about the idea, and this was I went on this a lot yesterday because the feedback that I got from day one was this was really like mind-opening for people. That, if the original message here was, if you had 5 clients, it could shift your life, because 5 clients could be in that $5,000 to $10,000 range. And then when you get better and you get up 5 or 10 clients, you can be in that $10,000 to $20,000 range. That was shocking to people, because do you know how many millions of views you would have to make, $5,000 on YouTube? Millions and millions of views. And so we have this idea that volume will get us paid. But I'm like, that's not always true. The reason the YouTubers call me and the Instagrammers call me and the TikTokers call me is because they're in this place where they got famous, but they're barely getting paid. And if they are getting paid, they're selling their soul to a sponsor that they don't even like. I always make this joke, and forgive me, but this is me full on out today, because I think I'm so passionate about changing the direction of this industry. I told my friend this one time, and he got really mad at me, but it was awesome. I thought, okay, this is going to be bad. He's a major podcaster, and he loves the interview, and he loves, more importantly, taking the interview and making summaries out of it and quotes out of it and sending it out to people, and loves engaging with his audience and everything else like that. But I mean, he was having millions of downloads and barely earning anything, because, I don't know if you know, but the podcast CPMs, they went from, $70 a CPM down to 40, down to 30, down to sometimes $19 and below now. Like it's the drop in podcast sponsor ads and CPM has been monumental. Now, most of you know, I've only run ads maybe for a year out of, I don't know, over a decade of having a podcast. And most of those ads are for us, right? For my companies. And so I didn't go out and do a bunch of sponsorship stuff because a lot of my podcast friends, you know what they're doing? They're spending a full day a week reading ads because they got to have 6, 8, 10, 12 ads an episode when they're doing, 45 minutes to 3-hour podcasts. So they're reading these ads. They got to hit it on the market 60 seconds. So they're spending a whole day. And by the way, this is totally fine because, at a certain volume, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're pumped. So again, this is not just about the money. So let me come back to the part about fulfillment. I'm going to hit this a lot for you today. It may not resonate. And I know I push off some people when I talk about this, but I really believe we got sold a bill of goods to go chase CPM. They gave you that KPI. They gave you that metric. They gave it to you. You didn't even know what a CPM was when you began. And if you don't know what it is yet, I'm glad you're here today. It basically is you're getting cost or payment per 1,000 impressions, downloads, views, etc. Okay, so guess what? My friend's telling me all this, and he's really upset. He's been reading ads, and he's like, Brandon, I feel like I'm always reading ads. I didn't get into this. I'm doing this and this. And I said to him, I said, yeah, I don't know any blogger, podcaster, YouTuber who got into this to sell mattress ads. No offense. I don't know anyone who got into it to hype underwear. I know some of you guys are fashion people, so forgive me on that one. That might be a thing for you, or maybe you love a certain kind of mattress and that's fine too. But I bet you didn't think like, oh, I want to be a mattress salesman this month. And nothing against mattress salesmen. I'm just saying that we're talking about podcasters. A podcaster didn't start going, maybe a mattress salesperson said, I want to be a mattress salesperson. But a podcaster never started to say, I want to be a salesperson for all this stuff so I can get paid. That's not the intention. The intention was to have conversations of change. The intention was to learn and to broadcast something of value or education to the world. Now, I understand the trade-off of why most people go the ad route. I didn't cover that enough yesterday, and I wasn't trying to bemoan something so hard. I just feel like that this one skill of learning coaching, this one skill of building your coaching program, this one skill of getting a client, that one skill is the keystone career. It is the keystone skill. Why? Let me explain it to you. Because when you learn to coach people and you know how to actually have discussions of discovery and decision-making and disciplined habits and deliberate habits, let me ask you a question. Isn't it true you're probably going to conduct better interviews? Isn't it true by learning to get one client to sign up with you, you've learned everything you need to do in marketing that you're ever going to have to do to sell whatever else is next, a book, a course, something else. And I also think there's a lot of people selling courses or trying to write a book or trying to have an interview. And without the ability of actually knowing how to work with people through change, they're always flying so superficial. And let me tell you what online does not work. Superficiality. I know we think it does. No, superficiality gets views. It doesn't get you paid. And so these people call me and they're like, Brendan, I got all these views, but I'm miserable. I'm not doing anything that makes a difference. And I can't see a path to earning more. And I was like, well, buddy, you're working so hard, creating 100 pieces of content every single week to try to get, an extra 10 or 20,000 bucks a month. You could talk to one person. You could have one coaching client and earn that much. Or if you're just starting, you might have 5 or 10 of them to make that much. And so I asked them, I go, would you rather spend this month creating hundreds of pieces of content or literally talking to people about their life for an hour? It's just a different choice. And the reason we don't talk about it anymore is because we all got pulled into social media land. By the way, as I said yesterday, I love social media. I probably met you there. I have no problem with social media. I just have a problem when people say that's your career and that's going to be the most fulfilling part of what you do. Because I've never seen that to be true in all of this time. They call me, they ask me. So I hope that isn't sounding like too pushy at the beginning, but I do feel like this can shift your life. This stuff can shift your life. I don't know if you're going to make this much, or even if this is your goal, by the way, or even if you're going to do this. I don't know you. I don't know your mom. I don't know your story. I don't know if you're ever going to take any action. I'm not promising a certain amount or money. I'm trying to give models here and strategies here that I've learned throughout the years when I was broke, and then building, and then earning, and then growing, and then becoming sort of the best at what I do. But I'll continue on. We talked about these conversations yesterday, and I'll go a lot faster for those who are keeping up with me today. I talked about the coaching coin. This training alone was worth it. It was awesome. About compassion and challenge and how to balance those in a conversation around curriculum. That says curriculum if you can't read it on your little screen there. Curriculum. So what's a coaching session? A coaching session is you have a curriculum with your client, and in that curriculum, you're bouncing between compassion and challenge. And you're learning to listen and to reflect, but also, more importantly, push. As a coach, you're paid to push. You're not the friend. You're not the therapist. You're not the buddy. You're not the spouse. You're paid to push. You live in the process of challenging people in a fun and appropriate and engaging way that feels empowering to them, but also gives them that aha and that breakthrough. I'm like, oh, right. Or helps them double down on something or find new energy for something or deal with the difficulty in their life. It's so fun. Okay. Then we went into what's been most popular and the most shared I saw online, slide in teaching, where I taught you how to use psychological levelers in a coaching session, whether you're just coaching or using coaching session to sales, to move people from low-level complaints into clarity, how to help them tap back into vision and ambition in their life and their conversations, and move through a model of how to do that. Because I really believe when you know how to do this well, that lever alone is powerful. We also talked about the levers of positive framing. I taught the ladder of meaning, which is how do people think? How do people actually think? What do they like? What's the process for them to come up with what's good or bad, who they are, what they want to do, and when to take action? It's called the ladder of meaning. I taught that. Moving your clients into higher agency in their life, meaning more capable and responsible of taking control, engaging, being assertive, handling problems, and feeling like they're in command of their mind, body, spirit, and life. And so we talked about pulling these levers of their vision and ambition and helping them with positive framing and processing. We moved into the greatest levers, I really believe, of energy, enjoyment, fulfillment. Just like I started this conversation today. I really believe if I coached anybody today already, if there's anything that resonated, I hope it is this should be your next season of enjoyment in your life. Some of you have been slogging through since the pandemic. That was a long time ago. Some of you have been struggling to start something for 6 months. And you just keep not enjoying the process, so you don't engage. You're disengaged because you're not having fun. Maybe you're not doing something that's meaningful or fulfilling for you. And I do not say that with judgment. That was me. You know, I knew I wanted to be a coach probably 3 years before I did it. But I had a safe corporate job and I was just scared to leap. And I didn't understand I could do it on the side, and I didn't understand how the model worked. So I'm not judging anybody about it, but I ultimately realized I would enjoy my life more if I was actually working with real humans, and it'd feel more fulfilling if I could help other people grow, because I liked learning and development. Maybe I could give learning and development to other people. And so I got into the coaching. Okay. We talked about building a program yesterday. We did, whatever it was, almost 2 hours on programmatic building, meaning what is your coaching program? What do you actually do with people, and how do you build that? We talked about the ideal lengths from 8-week to 12-week programs, even to year-long programs, and why to do those. We talked about, are you going to bundle your coaching program? Meaning, would you like to create a bundle where you sell one-on-one coaching or group coaching, but you also bundle in a course or a membership or a retreat or a live event or a 1 day with you? as you take them around your town, or one day where you fly out to them and meet them at their office and work with them. You can bundle in other things to drive up the value, which drives up the price, because most of you should charge more. Put it in the chat, capital letters. Let's celebrate. It's Friday. Let's charge some more. Raise your prices. Everyone just raise your prices. Okay. I get worked up about that. Most of you are not charging what you are capable of because you're disengaged from a process and you're worried about personality. Am I good enough? Does my resume show this? But coaching isn't like that. Coaching isn't about you or your resume or your background. That's consulting. That's teaching. Coaching is about the process, a conversational process to help clients discover and decide and become more deliberate. That process is what they're paying for. So you build a program that achieves those outcomes and people buy the program. I've had probably 70% of all of my clients throughout my career could care less about my background. They were buying high performance coaching. They wanted to become a high performer. That was the attraction. They probably didn't even know me. They got a referral by somebody. Oh, Brendan's good as a coach. Oh, his process is amazing. But it wasn't about my background when I began. It was the selling point was the process. Everyone write it down. The selling point is the process, not your personality, not how many kids you got, not whether or not you're in the workforce, not how much experience you have in corporate America, not how many years you spent in the ad agency world or this world doing this. They don't care. That's consulting. In coaching, they're going, can you help work me through challenging and ambitious goals in my life? They want to know, can you help me work through? They don't care if you have domain expertise. And many of you have never started your coaching brand because you're worried about domain expertise. Almost all of my clients do stuff that I've never done before. I was telling the story yesterday of I've coached hockey players, Olympians, billionaires from lots of different walks of life. I actively coach 4 billionaires right now. I've had the blessing of coaching CEOs of companies that I don't even understand what the company really did, but that didn't matter. They weren't hiring me to understand their company and everything about it. That would have been hiring an executive or employee. They're hiring a coach. They hire you for the process of working through things, the process of working through things better so that they understand different perspective. They get that decision-making locked in. They're more deliberate. They have an accountability person who's asking them, checking them, but also to continually grow. Most people are going to hire you because they want to grow, not because your resume from 5 years ago. So I'm trying to unlock a sense of freedom for you. You're selling a process of change, not what you did 5 years ago before you left the workforce, or not what you did 3 years ago when you started this new health journey. They don't care. They're buying a process with you. Now, I'm not here saying they don't care about you. Of course, they want to work with somebody they like. That's why we're going to get to brand later on, like who you are and how you demonstrate, how you show up. We'll talk about that too. Okay, so we talked about building the program. I even had everybody with me yesterday draw out like 12 different boxes representing a 12-week coaching program. It was super fun. I like this part. And I shared, okay, you're going to have an agenda for each one. Well, you're going to have a theme of your coaching program. You're going to have an agenda, a topic, cue points, questions, 7 to 10 questions for each session. Then you're going to build in transitions to move them out of the session. You're going to send a worksheet, a follow-up tool. You're going to evaluate yourself. You're going to evaluate them. You're going to give them opportunity to evaluate you. That's what a coaching program looks like. That's what a coaching program is. We talked about promotions. I'm going to come back to this one today. We talked about promotions, and we talked about 3 simple models yesterday. 3 simple models. As a coach, we just begin with the end in mind. At the end of the day, whatever you're doing on social media, whatever you're doing with marketing, whatever you're doing with your funnels, whatever you're doing the rest of your career or business, ultimately, you're going to drive them to a coaching page. And on your coaching page, you're going to have a video of you talking about the value of coaching. I'm going to dig in deeper into that today. And then below it, there's going to be a button. You can't see that. It says button. It's messy. Looks like on my screen today. Button. And when they click that button, there's 3 actions, one of 3 things. You're going to choose which one you want. There's 3 different models. One model, they just schedule a free session with you. You get them on the phone, you deliver awesome, you sell them into your coaching program. Second option is an application. They apply to work with you. You review that application. When you review that application, you either, if you accept them, you either call them and then sell them, or if you review the application, you approve, you just send them directly to make a payment. Okay. Third option we talked about yesterday was if they apply, then you can drive them directly to pay for that first session or for the whole program. And that led us to the buy button down below your video. And the buy button can say, hey, schedule your first session with me right now. It's $500 or $300 or $1,000, 2,000, whatever you guys do. Everyone charges something different. And so why do I bring this up? Well, this is where they're going to go. So you're going to build your coaching page. I just build this in Kajabi. I use Kajabi for all of it now. You can do your button, you can do your scheduling, you can do your application, you can buy directly from that, but lots of different systems and tools you could use for this. You could just literally build a very simple web page, put a button on it, have them schedule or pay through Calendly. Like there's lots of different models, right? But we talked about the main models that you could deploy to get people to do something that was very specific, which is, I just want you to book out your wait list. I just want you to get 5 or 10 clients to start. Remember yesterday, we talked about 5 or 10 clients. If you had 10 clients, that just means you're doing 2 calls a day to those clients, right? 2 60-minute calls. So when I began, I just did 2 calls in the morning. That gave me all afternoon to do really whatever I wanted. For me, it was writing because I'm a dork. For me, it was I'd spend the afternoon just writing, right? Or if I needed to do marketing, I could do the marketing. Or if I want to go see my family or go hang out. Or for me, go wander around and have creative ideas. Or I'd go spend the afternoon in a bookstore, which is my way of having fun. I know I'm not the most fun person on the internet. Like everyone wants to do it. Brendan, we got to do a documentary of your life. I'm like, okay, we're going to go to bookstores. I'm going to sit at my computer and write books. And then I'm going to talk on the internet. And then I'm going to call a client where you can't see them on my phone or on my FaceTime. I'm not really that sexy. You know, I like, there's a lot of people way more entertaining to me, way more entertaining. And I hope that gives you some hope too, because you don't have to do all these people. Like, forgive me, but the whole Mr. Beastization of the world has, in a very good way, taught a lot of people they can do things. And it taught them to play algorithms and play thumbnails and play testing. But it also taught everybody to think that you have to go do obnoxious pranks, or you have to go do crazy contests, or you have to go do something absurd to get people to watch or do something. And maybe that's true if you want, you know, those billions of views. But I just wanted to make a difference with people. At the end of each week, if I know I really shifted 5 people's lives, I feel great. So again, I'm coming from a different model here. I just wanted 2 clients a day. I had a family, I had stuff going on, I had dreams. I didn't want to make 100 pieces of content a day. I wanted to talk to 2 people and have big shifts, and then I get to enjoy my afternoon. Some of you, maybe your calls are in the afternoon and not the morning. Maybe when you're just starting, you're booking anybody as much as you can because you want to get in the reps. There was a year or 2 that I did that. It was about reps. I was doing 5, 6 calls a day, just trying to get as many reps in as possible, trying to develop my skill, trying to earn more, trying to save. So there's those seasons too. For many of you, it might be your whole friggin' day because you love it and you're gonna go strong. That's why I like this business. You're the one scheduling your work. Who's excited about that? You're the one. I think that's friggin' awesome. You're the one scheduling it. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes over here. Okay, so what did we talk about? We talked about I would just go live each week on a Friday Zoom, and I would teach stuff, and I'd put 3, 4, 5, 10 people in that Zoom. I wouldn't worry about how many people were in there. I would just get on the Zoom. I'd be awesome. I'd do coaching, and then I'd take them to my page and tell them to sign up by midnight and why they should sign up by midnight. So now they're like, oh, wow, she's a coach. He's a coach. They're good at this. I like them. Go to the page, get signed up. Great. I just do that every week until I had my 5 or 10 clients. Some of you might not, some of you only want one client. I'm like, great, go till you have one client. I don't care. Next, I would do, if I didn't fill my wait list with this, I would do a launch. 1 or 2 launches a year to fill my coaching card, right? Or to fill my coaching group. Just 1 or 2. Again, because I don't want you to be in the infinity game of always striving more and more and more and more and more. What I'd like you to do as a coach is reach the financial number you like at the lifestyle that you like. If you want to keep going more and more and more, I'll teach you today how to broaden and how to scale. But for most people watching this right now, if you're not 7 figures or above, you don't need to scale. You need to get your first 10 clients. So this is like you need to get your first 10 clients and a cohort or group. If you had 2 cohorts or groups a year and you had your 5 to 10 clients, you're earning. I mean, you're crushing it. And so I'm the guy that says, and forgive me, I might not be a guy. In that way, I'm a minimalist. I want you to have a life. Anyone ready for a life again? I feel like so many people are doing so many things and they're like, I'm not even enjoying life or making a difference. I'm just busy. I'm like, I don't want that. I want you to have fulfillment. I want you to have joy. We talked about direct to sales. That means you send people to a page where they sign up for a group coaching at a lower price point, like a monthly membership, like $49 a month, $29 a month, $100 a month, $300 a month. And then you upsell them over here into your coaching program or cohort that's more expensive. Okay, we talked about that all yesterday. Now let's talk to the people who want to know how to brand and build bigger. Okay, I'm going to show you 2 simple models that maybe you've seen me teach before, I hope, but now you have context of how to grow out from it. Let's first start talking about your personal brand. And what do we mean when we talk about your personal brand? Your personal brand begins in 2 ways. 1, your internal self-representation of who you are to yourself. I know that sounds weird. I'll come back to it. And the second is the externalization of it, right? That's what you're doing on social media. That's your web pages. And I wonder, are they the same? Now, the internal part of your personal brand, if you're going to become a coach, I need to shift you in a little different way today. You got to be the CEO of your life again. You got to be the CEO of your life again. Thank you. You have to be the CEO of your life again. Like you got to own your dream. You've been to my events before? I literally have people who scream and say, I own my dream. You have to have the high level of agency in which you're the owner of your dream. You're the owner of each day. You are the person who is in charge. You have to take back that assertiveness and that command of life. And when you have that drive, what I call the edge, you're back in motion. You're fully engaged. You're ready to work. You're excited. You're positive. You have a good attitude about that. And I really hope that you will connect with that today. I really hope that you will find that access point within yourself that you're like, oh, wait, I'm in charge of this bank account. I'm in charge of my efforts this week. Because I can't ask you to be an entrepreneur and become a life coach, a business coach, a wellness coach, a leadership coach, whatever kind of coach you want to be, unless you shift your mindset. And that was very hard for me. I had a corporate job. So when I came into entrepreneurship, I kind of was like still acting like, is someone going to tell me what to do? I didn't know what to do. And so I spent a lot of time in a little bit of employee thinking, a little bit of victim thinking for me, of like, it's so unfair. I don't know how to do this. Look at these guys making all this money online. Look at all these people getting followers. Look at these people getting emails. I don't know how to do that. They must be special. It's like, no, this whole game that we were talking about today is ultimately skill development. And you can do it your own way. And as soon as you decide to do it your own way and you allow the hot mess of developing the skill, you have freedom for life. Their judgments don't matter to you. You're going to build this your way. I get a lot of crap. People are like, Brendan, do you have like an outfit? Do you always wear the same shirts? And I was like, yeah, I got like 8 of them in there. There's like 3 different colors. There's like 8 of them. Don't worry, this is a different shirt than yesterday, but it's still the same shirt, same color and everything. Why? Because I just want to walk in, put it on and go. And early in my career, I felt like I had to wear suits. I always had, suit pants on. I had a nice, but I was very comfortable in it because I came out of the corporate world. But I was like, why am I spending so much time doing that? I don't care about this stuff. I just want to be live with people. I want to do that more. I just got emotion. This whole studio is set up like you can't tell, but I'm up in Northern California. I'm basically in a big glass box in a vineyard because I was like, oh, that would be cool. I'm not doing it for the shot. That's real. Some of you guys know because sometimes the bunnies run by or the truck drives by or we're out there picking. So it's kind of funny, but it's like, I wanted to do this my way. I want you to enjoy it your way. See, when you're coaching people, you can coach them on your phone, audio, you can FaceTime them. You can do it on Zoom if you'd like. Maybe you don't want to do it one-on-one. Maybe you're going to do it on Zoom with a group of people who are all paying $1,000 to be there, right? You could do it whatever way that you desire. The main thing is don't get stuck in your money story. Charge for a process of change. The main thing is don't do it like they tell you have to do it. Do it your style, your way, the way that you're comfortable and that you will enjoy, because you got to play the long game here. I had to build it your way. Every element of my career and everything that I do, I try to find like, how would I approach this? What way will I find enjoyment and fulfillment? That's why I'm still here. Enjoyment and fulfillment. I found my own ways. And when everyone tells, well, you should do it this way, Brendan. Everyone tells Brendan, just post a bunch of, of the pictures of the jets, the checks, and the fancy hotels. And I'm like, no. More pictures of your family. I'm like, no. More pictures of that. I'm like, that's not my style. You don't have to do that stuff. You can do whatever your style is. And I find great hope in that. So your personal brand is doing things your way. And as you, with high agency as a CEO, you're the owner of the dream. So I need you in command. And I need you to know you're the CEO and you're going to do it your own way. And if you can adopt that a little bit more in your entrepreneurial life, you'll get moving more. The second element of your personal brand, as we'll talk about here in a moment, is how you put yourself out there and where you put yourself out there. But most importantly, obviously, is your core messages. Your brand is not your color scheme. I feel so bad for people who think that. Your brand is not your color scheme. Your brand is your messaging. And we got caught. Just like the coaching industry got sucked into the online marketing industry, the coaching industry also got sucked into graphic design. It's like graphic design is not your brand. And as you can tell, I've had terrible logos for 20 years until Growth Day. Growth Day is very pretty. But before that, it doesn't, like this idea that you have to have a specific look is just not real. Let me give you a real-time example for those who want to debate me on this. Is Nike just rolled out a new ad. And the ad has the athletes in a little place of what you might even call, like before, all their ads for all these years were very aspirational, very positive, very like, wow, look at that person. They rolled out a new ad where it's like, the athletes are going, I want to beat you. I want to win. I want to compete. And it's very aggressive and almost dark about athletes talking about that hunger and that drive to dominate, to win, to get the championship. And it's very assertive. And people are like, oh my gosh, that feels so different, looks so different, sounds so different than what I used to know about, Nike. Yeah. Go look at an Apple ad from 20 years ago. It's different now too. Messaging changes. Graphics changes. So at this stage of your life, what are your messages? Not what do you think you did 5 years ago. What's your message now? You have the opportunity to put out 3 to 5 core messages to your audience. What are those 3 to 5 core messages as you're going to go build a brand? And can I find those 3 to 5 core messages as I go through your emails, your social media, your demonstrations? Are those core messages there? And they'll change, they'll evolve over time. But your personal brand begins with messaging, not imagery. You don't have to have a perfect look Go look at any of your favorite podcasters. Their sets and scenes change pretty much every year. So don't get so stuck on how things look. Get in motion delivering messages. Get in motion delivering messages. Deliver your messages more consistently, more often. Go. Doesn't matter if you're wearing your workout clothes or you're in your fancy gown. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I need your messages being shared more consistently. I need your consistent messages being shared more consistently across more platforms, and that's how you're going to build your personal brand. And so I think it's really a question of messaging and the volume that suits your lifestyle. And then what are we doing with all that? We're driving them into campaigns, if we're doing ongoing marketing, which we'll talk about today, don't worry, or that coaching page where they are scheduling, applying, or buying. Okay, with that, I'm going to begin with the end in mind to scale. Like, okay, if I did that, what would I sell to scale? I'll talk about some different models for you to figure out what you're going to sell. And then we'll come right back to personal branding. So this might feel a little bit circuitous. Just stick with me because I want to show a little bit of this model first. Okay. If I was starting again, this is my famous if I started all over again slide. Okay. If I had the benefit of being today in the same market as you guys are, starting from scratch, if I was a coach, if coaching was my calling, and I believe if you are watching this, you're not watching it because I'm entertaining. I mean, I'm standing in front of a blue screen. This could be better. Okay. I'm sharing with you, there's something in your heart that is making you still listen to this. You and I are in the same genre. It's the same timing, the same impulse, the same paradigm. And if I was starting over again today, everyone says, what would you do? I'm going to answer that with a slide, but I'm going to show you a 7-figure model. Because if I started today, knowing everything I know about what's possible in a global world, I would have a 7-figure ambition. I know that's not the same for all of you. So don't get mad at me. I'm going to go there. But if I started today, I would start cold from scratch. If I was a 20-year-old, I'd have a 7-figure ambition. And I know some of you go, well, that's obnoxious. I'm like, there's a lot of 20-year-olds who are millionaires now. So I'm not talking about you have to have that ambition. I'm just saying if I was starting, this is my famous how I would start again. So here's some simple math. I would want 10 clients. I would charge $2,000. That's $20,000 a month I'd be bringing in. That's a quarter. That's $240,000 a year. I would do one-on-one coaching. I would always start here because this teaches me to make the difference and the change. Nobody gave me a class, a certification, a thumbs up, a good for you, Brendan, that allowed me to start charging $2,000 a month. And by the way, if you didn't catch the math earlier, $2,000 a month is an average of $500 a session. I would not charge $500 a session. As I shared yesterday, the goal is to build a program, a bundle, and make sure that bundle is worth about $2,000 a month. That's how I would start. Remember, they're buying a process. They're buying a process for change. And as I talked about yesterday, most of your clients earn more than you do. So get over it. Most of my clients today, actually all of my clients today, one-on-one earn more than I do. They don't care what my bank account is. They're hiring me for what? The process. They're hiring for the process. What's the process? Help them in discovery, decision-making, and more deliberate progress and growth. Remember? They're hiring a coach and they want the process. They want a proven process. They want a good process. All I have to do is sell them on the process. I show them the process. I tell them why the process will help them. I understand their goals, needs, drives, desires. We have a conversation. They're like, well, he's kind of annoying, but I like the process. I think a lot of people have hired me without even knowing me or liking me as a personality. They heard about the process or they liked my process. So again, if you're sucking, I can't charge that. You're living in a different world, guys. People buy process. People buy products. Some of you bought something online in the last 6 months and you don't even know who made it. You don't even know who built it. You bought the product. You bought the promise. You bought the change. You didn't even know the person. You didn't know if maybe you never even saw their face. You didn't even know their kids. You don't know how big a company is. You're just like, wow, I like that watch, or yeah, I like that shampoo, or yeah, I like that. And you bought it. You don't even know the person. People buy products. People buy process. And our industry, because it's now associated with the creator economy, they think they're buying you. I can't emphasize enough. Your job is not to overly emphasize you in coaching. It's to emphasize the process and the outcomes. You are selling process. You are selling outcomes. You are selling promise way more than you're selling you. Now, if you have a great story that completely aligns with that process, awesome. But many of you know my story, and the reason you're talking to me today is because I had a car accident when I was 19. No one's hiring me as a coach because I had a car accident. No one's hiring me as a coach because I work for a company called Accenture. Most of you don't even know what that company is. I worked for them, 20 years ago, 15 years ago? I don't know, something like that. It's like, no one cares. They're hiring because they want a coach and they want a process. And I'm attracting them because I'm a coach and I have a process. Okay, again, this is how I would start for those doing the math. I'll go a little faster here now. What else would I do? Okay, beginning with the end in mind, I'd add a membership. This would be a monthly membership where I would charge $49 a month. Why $49 a month? It's not for conversions. I want you all to hear, it's not for conversions. If you care about conversions in your membership, charge less. Charge 20 bucks. Charge 10, 20, charge $9, 19 bucks, 29 bucks. Don't charge 49, 99, 100 or 300 unless you're teaching something specific and you're looking for a particular kind of client. I learned the $49 a month person, they tend to buy another course, tend to become into one of our groups or events. That matched what I wanted to do, but it also kept me out of getting people who were not really committed. Something about that $49 a month here in the US is a number that says, okay, this person's probably committed to a couple months of change in their life. Maybe not forever. These people are more committed. These people are less committed. But notice the math here. I only need to be bringing on 500 people a month into my membership month over month to get up to 294. So just keep bringing in those 500 people. How do I do that? Through the marketing that I talked about yesterday and I'll talk about today. What else would I do? I would roll out a course. Why? That's an awesome entry for people to get into something, to learn something, to do the work on something. It gets a serious buyer. It gets somebody who's committed. It gets somebody who's going to do the learning. And if you're going to take the time to shoot a course, charge for it. If you're going to take the time, it takes a lot of work. So if you got 100 people buying your course, that means about 20% of these people, if you do the math here, it's about 20% of these people upgrading to your course. You see how the math works there? 500 new people coming in, 100 of those buying every month. Now we're up to $500,000 there. So this grand total, if I did the math right, which I think it's right on the slide, that would be how I would reach my $1 million. So here's what I want to share with you all. If you will take a moment, notice I only have 3 offers here. 1, 2, 3. I would do 3 things. This is me. I'm not directing anybody or advising you here. The question that I get in this session is, if you started over, Brendan, what would you do? I'm like, I do 3 things. Some of you are trying to do 50 things. Some of you created 12 PDFs last month. You bought 17 different domains. You started 4 different webinars. You went live on 12 different topics. You have 4 different Facebook groups running at once, plus a WhatsApp group. Plus, I'm like, oh my God, you're freaking me out. Clearly, I'm the simple guy, but I hope that helps. People always ask, how do you build an offer? If you've never seen my famous offer grid, this will really help you, because some of you are doing lots of things because you have lots of different topics, right? You got lots of different topics. If I was starting, I would pick 2 topics and I'd build out offerings for that topic. If I was starting out with multiple topics. So can I give you an example? Most of you know me for personal development, right? That's my primary topic. Personal development, which is motivation and high performance, are my two expertise. Motivation, productivity, high performance. It's kind of my life, right? I'm going to call it personal development topic. But many of you know I also teach marketing and sales, specifically to influencers, content creators, coaches. Two different topics, right? Personal development, marketing. So what you do is you take your topic and then you create a funnel of product offerings to lead to your higher priced coaching or group, whether it's one-on-one coaching, group coaching, or you do cohort coaching or masterminds, right? All very similar. I'm putting a certain price point down. I know many of you and a lot of my friends watching, you charge $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 for your higher end stuff or your retreat. I know that, but I'm just saying all roads lead to a higher price thing for both topics. Okay, so what do I do? Well, you have your free content. Your free content can be your social media. Your free content could be your YouTube. Your free content can be, PDFs, opt-ins, videos, whatever you want to do. Then you might create an offer for each one, a $7 to $20 offer. This can be a mini course, a mini class, a one-time Zoom, something very cheap. Then you upsell your membership, see, per month. That could be $29 to $109 membership. Then you could do your course, your $299, your $300 to $1,000 course, and then your coaching. Now, why am I sharing this? Because this is for those who have multiple topics and you're like, which one, Brendan? I'm like, you could do both. Just understand each topic will have its own offer experience. Does that make sense? That's why I share this. Again, today we're talking about scale. And that might not be where everyone's at, but I've already done day one and day two. So as we talk about scale, I showed you $1 million model just a moment again. And now I'm showing you a grid for those who want to take on multiple topics, right? This is when you get really, I know people with just this, and including myself, when I just started real scale, this exact slide is what got me to 8 figures. So for each thing, I had free content. I'd get a single small purchase. I'd get them to a monthly membership. I'd upsell a course. I'd bring them into coaching. That's when I got big, right? That's when I got really big because I did that for one topic, motivation, personal development, and for marketing. I'm telling you all this because I know some of you, you're like, but Brendan, I teach basket weaving and I teach parenting. What do I do? I'm like, oh, you created a separate line or product line. To use fancier terminology, not often in our industry, this is a product line of stuff, right? It's a product line of stuff. And every company, as they grow, they'll often create multiple product lines. Like you'll see companies, yeah, they sell swag and they got a whole line of swag. It's more expensive, but they also have supplements, right? A whole line of supplements at different price points. And so if you think about even Apple, they got one thing that's like mobile devices and compute, the price gets more and more expensive. And then they've got like network stuff, right? And so each company you can think about, they often have multiple product lines. In our world, we usually orient that around the topic. Maybe this is your health coaching business here, but this one is your parenting coaching. Does that make sense? You'd have a different product line for health coaching, and you'd have a different product line for parenting coaching. This might be for some of you who teach business, you have your business product line, but maybe you also teach relationships, and you have a relationship product line. But here's why I like this. Notice, it's very simple. You're doing 3 things and one high-end experience. I have friends who created 4 or 5 different coaching or high-end coaching or high-end masterminds, and they're exhausted. They're running 3 different types of masterminds. I'm like, just do one mastermind. They're like, no, but they're in for different topics. I'm like, no, at that point, they're in for you. And it's okay to charge more and bring them together. Like I have a mastermind, like I have Ultra. Many of you know my Ultra offering. Ultra, I've got both. I've got people into personal development and leadership, and I've got people who are into marketing. They're both in there. And we create an experience where they're coming together, they're networking, they're learning, but it's about advancing their lives. And so I just share, kind of keep it simple. Now, if you weren't with me the last couple of days and you look at this and you're like, that's not simple, Brendan. I'm like, well, then remove one of the boxes. Could you make sure you hey, everyone screenshot this right now. Okay, so why? Because listen, when you start, you go, well, I'm not going to do that one, Brendan. I'm going to do this one and I'm going to do that one. That's how I would start. I'd just remove the middle. I'd give free stuff. I'd take them to my coaching page. I'd charge a lot because I don't have the time to do the scale and the production in the middle. Does this make sense? I would just skip this part. I would do a bunch of free stuff and I'd send them to my coaching page where they schedule, buy, or apply. Then, as I made my 6 figures or I got comfortable and whatever my financial goal level is, then I'd add on one of these boxes in each topic area. Now, I want you guys to hear this. It took me 3 years when I started my career, 3 years to build out one line, right? Now I'm good at it. I could do it in a month. But at the beginning, I didn't know how to do it. So I just did this and this. And then I added this, and then I added this. The funniest thing is the 7 to 20, the lower tier offers where you can run ads at them and get affiliates. I didn't start that for years in my career. Why am I sharing that? I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You're the CEO. You could literally choose 2 boxes on here and hit your 6 figures if that was your desire and your drive and your efforts. Again, I don't know you actually, so I can't say that you would earn anything, but I'm just suggesting that we all have the capability of choosing what we want to offer in the marketplace and how much we're going to work for it, right? And whether or not we're going to follow strategies. So I really want I want this hit for you. If I started over, I'd do this box and this box. That was that previous slide was. Can I go back? I don't know if I can or not. Let me try. Yeah. Remember this box? If I started over, I just do free stuff to get people to get in my coaching program. Why? Low-hanging fruit. Instead of trying to sell 1,000 people, I got to sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, great, right? This model's for 10 people. But I would just focus on serving people. Why? Because some of you think that's the hardest thing. And you're like, but I'm not qualified for that yet. I'm like, that's why you build your coaching curriculum and you work through a set of questions. You're not selling you, you're selling a set of questions. And I think it's really important to understand. It's like, oh, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get people on a call. I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions. We're going to work through their life. We're going to help them tap in their vision, tap in their ambition, tap into their energy, tap into enjoyment and fulfillment. Of course, you're going to have different outcomes because maybe you're teaching parenting or maybe you're coaching to a wellness outcome or something like that. But see, I told you earlier, I'm just coming back to this because that's where I would start. And I would add these other things later. But so I don't want you to get intimidated about this, but I did want you to begin with the end in mind because some of you are asking about that scale and you're asking about multi-passionate areas of interest for you. Like you like multiple topics. So this is how I would ultimately consider this a very mature model, right? Sometimes I call this the $1 million offer grid because this is scale. So maybe draw this out or screenshot it, and then you just cross out the boxes you just don't want to do. And you circle the ones you do want to do. In the modern era, because we're talking about branding today, I would make sure you have your free box running. And then you decide, what are you going to sell from your free box? What are you passionate about? Okay. As part of this series, I'm suggesting you go for it because you're creating a process, and processes sell. These things are products or you going live with the monthly stuff. But I think you determine. Again, I started more or less here and here And then I kind of backfilled. No one ever showed me this when I began, so I didn't even know what to do. So if I freaked you out today, good. Welcome to the show. Okay. I want to come back to a couple different models, and I hope that it will serve you as we talk about what to do with scale. One of the biggest questions I get in scaling is the topic of group coaching. So let's come down to that, and then let's get into the sales process. Okay, group coaching. The good news is almost everybody overcomplicates this, and I'm not sure why. I still struggle with this, even with my CHPCs. Shout out to any CHPCs in the room. Even my CHPCs struggle with them. Like, I don't get the struggle. So let me make it really clear. Okay, I'm going to go at the level of, let's just imagine you have a session outline, right? You are going to be a person who's coaching people. Yesterday, we talked about when you have your session outline, you've got your topic, you got your cue point. That's where you talk about why the topic is important and you're excited about it. Then you've got your list of questions. Okay. So you've got your questions. Let's say you've got, 5, 6, 7 questions. Then you're going to have your transition out. Okay. So the main thing, of course, is the topic and the questions. So let's imagine, let me just take you through a one-on-one experience, and then we'll go to group. So remember, you've built your program. You have a curriculum, right? If it's a 12-week program, you got 12 session outlines. If it's 8 weeks, you got 8 weeks. So you determine how long you want to coach people. Okay. Then you're going to create your materials, which is your session outlines. And if I'm teaching one-on-one, I'm going to start that session. Okay, Barbara, today we are talking about confidence. Obviously, topic of confidence is really relevant in my own life. Once I learned to become confident, I found that the days felt brighter. I felt like I was willing to deal with struggle better. I felt like I could dream again. I felt like my relationships got better because I could set boundaries and ask for what I really needed. I felt like there was something that just a momentum grew in my life. Confidence is a really important topic. Barbara, when I talk about confidence, what comes to your mind? What do you think about this topic of confidence? And this is the discovery process, right? I'm opening her up to talk about the topic. And of course, we're going to land the topic in her life, or she'll bring up where it might apply. Then I'm going to move into some questions with her. Okay, great. And these questions are going to be based on two things: what she just shared about the topic of confidence, or my exact questions I've thought to ask already in advance, the ones I've written down. This session outline is mine. She doesn't see this. This is mine, right? As a coach, I'm going through my session outline. Okay, so now I'm going to ask her questions, and we're just going to go wherever the conversation goes. And in that conversation, what am I doing? Compassion, challenge, compassion, challenge, compassion, challenge. Not always every question is like that, but you get the idea. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of discovery, a lot of decision making. But what does it feel like? It feels like this guy's with me, and wow, he's kind of pushing me here. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to transition and move out of the session. Okay, so if you understand that one-on-one with the client, now let's just talk about a group of people. Now let's imagine I've got, 30 people in my group coaching program on Zoom, right? You got 30 people. So what am I going to do with them? Same thing. Okay, guys, today we're talking about confidence. Confidence is important because in my life, here's how I felt about it. And I'm going to talk about confidence in my life and why it's important. Now I have a choice of where to go with the group. I can do really two things with the exact same session outline. The first thing I can do is I can pose the question to the group and ask somebody in the group that question, meaning actually coach each question. Pose the question, Who would like to answer this? Hey, Bob, what do you think about this question? And just share the question, or share the question, let them raise their hand and participate. And I go question, conversation, question, conversation, question, conversation. That's how I'm moving the group through the session. That's option A, is question, conversation. Meaning I pose the question as a person facilitating the group. Then I open it up to the group to talk about. Then I might be do some coaching with them or answer some question with them. Then move on to the next point, the next question. Now, when I ask the question, the difference with the group is when it's one-on-one and you ask a question, you can just ask them the question and it's right back. With a group, you kind of ask the question, then you teach them the value of the question. Because with a group, you're holding the hat of a coach, but you also teach a little bit, right? So you'd ask a question like, you could ask a question of, is there any place in your, I'm going to be very generic for y'all here. Is there any place in your life where you're struggling with confidence in a relationship? And the reason I'm not going to ask you all that, because, you know, in our relationships, confidence often dictates whether or not we're being honest and true about our real thoughts, feelings, desires, needs, and dreams. And sometimes if you feel diminished or lacking empowerment or even appreciation or love in a relationship, that relationship becomes a threat. So this is an important topic for today. And I know this might require some vulnerability. So is there anyone who'd like to talk about this issue or this topic of confidence today? And now you just hold space. So what's the difference? On a one-on-one, you just ask the question and it's immediate back and forth. On a group, you kind of got to give a little more context and a little more breathing time so someone can think through the thing and kind of raise their hand and desire to participate. So again, option one in group coaching. You can read the question, give it some context, take answers and conversation from the group, and you just facilitate it. You just facilitate. Then move on to the next question. Do as many of those as you can until the end of the call. Transition out of the call. Okay, that's option A. Question, conversation, question, conversation, question, conversation, right? In that way, you're really facilitating a group conversation. And you're doing coaching. If this person shares something and you hear how they're thinking, or you want to go further, or you want to tease out some growth, cool. So it's question and conversation with you. Option B, okay? So option A equals question plus coaching, and you just move through. Option B equals you read each question and teach on each one, and then at the end, you open up for coaching and conversation. This is a very different vibe. This one is for the teachers in the group here. Those of you who love to teach and train. So what you're going to do is you're going to, same thing, you should start with the topic, but you're basically going to, in that hour long with your group, or however long it is, you're going to spend a good 50% of that time talking about the questions and the value of the questions and what you've learned from clients or you've learned from your experience. So each question kind of becomes an outline, a topic point for you to teach on. And then about halfway through the session, you stop and say, okay, so that was today's topic and teaching points. Let's have a conversation now about confidence. I'm just going to open up the room. Who would like to share or who would like to ask questions? Does that make sense? So that's option B, is it's all about questions and teaching. So it's you're teaching. And then at the very end, you open up, I'm not at the end, halfway point, you do coaching. So what's the difference? Is one better than the other? No, it doesn't matter. You're the CEO, you choose. There is no right answer. Everyone thinks there's a right answer. There is no right answer, none whatsoever. You choose. Now, here's the thing. I'll tell you what I like to do. I like option B. The reason I like option B is because I like to teach. I like to talk. And I find a great amount of fulfillment in pre-framing the group. I feel like if I can teach and pre-frame the group, shift their minds even before we get into the conversation of coaching, I feel like I have more powerful sessions as a group. Now that's my style, because I remember if you and I are at a party and you ask me what I do, I go, I'm a writer and a coach and a trainer. And so I love training. I love teaching. And so I'm going to spend half that session teaching and pre-framing, then moving into the group conversation. That's what group coaching is. Okay, are you all with me so far? Is this helpful? Here's what the cool thing is. I want you to all get this. You don't have to be the expert at this at all, like 0% with option A. With option A. Let me give you an example of this. A company paid me one time, said, Brendan, we know you're a coach. We are going to put, what was the name for them? We're going to put our safety employees on a group call, and we'd like for you to take them through these group calls and coach them to higher levels of excellence. And I said, well, tell me about, what do you mean safety? And this was a group of employees, it was over 30 employees who travel all around the globe to help this company make sure that their manufacturing facilities, their warehouses, their workplaces are operating with good safety considerations, right? And some of it's very technical stuff, because they've got, manufacturing facilities where there's like welding or assembly line. I mean, there's a lot of very, people could get hurt in their workplace. And I thought, okay, well, yes, I am a high performance coach, but I don't know anything about that. And I said, well, so you want me to coach? I coach them on the high performance process, but this sounds pretty specific to me. Tell you what, how many sessions are you thinking about for these guys? What's your budget? And we started talking through it, because listen to what I'm sharing, coaches. Sometimes in your career, you're going to get opportunities to coach companies and teams doing stuff you don't know how to do. But I'm trying to give you some confidence here, because all you got to do is have a set of questions and do option A with them. So here's what I did. I asked the person who I'm talking with, I said, well, tell you what, they came down, they said, we want to do 5 weeks with you. I said, great. Could you help me come up with a topic outline for each of those 5 weeks? And maybe 5 or 6 questions you think would be relevant for the group? She said, of course. I said, great. I said, I just need some help with the agenda. I can do some coaching and, help them understand each other. I can do things where I can push them to decision. We can do lots of discovery. I can make the environment feel awesome, and we can coach them up in their thinking and their performance. But some of these technical things, might not even know to pose the question. She goes, yeah, I get it. I just want you all to hear, that was $100,000 engagement, 5 weeks. And this was when I was really, if you think I look young now, shoot, I know I do, but no, I was real young. This is over a decade ago, y'all. So I had confidence I could deliver because I don't have to be the domain expert. In option A, really, with group coaching, I need to be the facilitator. Everyone write it down. I'm the facilitator more than anything else. I'm going to guide this group through a set of questions. I don't need to know their background. I don't need to know their expertise. I got a set of questions. I'm going to guide them through it. And guess what the value of that call was? Later on, that turned out to be almost a 7-figure client, to give you an idea. The value of that call, I think I talked in that call 15% of the time. It was, each of the people on the call, they were the experts. They had lots of opinions to share. And as they shared their opinion or their thought or their perspective, I would do the coaching and helping them understand how they were interpreting something, how they were sharing something, how they were communicating something. I was way more of the facilitator than I was the domain expert. This is one reason I love group coaching. You could sell group coaching to any company, any team, any organization in the world right now, walk in the door. Hey, is your team struggling to be better? Yes. Why don't we put together a coaching program and I'll facilitate it for you? Yeah. Okay. What company doesn't need that? What organization doesn't need that? This is why I like group coaching. Every team in the world needs group coaching, but often we think that, again, the reason you haven't done that is you think it's about you. Well, I don't have that. I can go in any company in the world and sell coaching, any company in the world. It doesn't matter what they do or what I did. It's, do they need somebody to facilitate group coaching? Most of them have no idea how to do it, but they have the domain expertise. So in this way, you're doing kind of consultative group coaching. Meaning consultative is like, you're going to understand the client. You're going to put together session outlines or agendas, and you're going to guide the group through. I love this one. Guys, listen to this. This is how funny this is. I think it's funny, maybe because I'm from Montana and do you have the humility to know that some of you, that sometimes you're a dork or you're not that smart? I know that about myself. I'm not offended by that. I don't take that it's serious. And so what I mean by that, I've done group coaching for dentists. Dentists, that's a pretty technical thing. I don't know anything about dentistry. My wife is like constantly telling me, you need to go to the dentist again. I mean, it's been like a year or whatever. I don't know how often you're supposed to go. I'm like, I don't know anything about dentistry, but I had a 6-figure contract. Let's see, what other? I've done a bunch of teams work in sports with the NFL, the NBA, and other teams. I don't play any of those sports. Let's see, I've done group coaching with the military, elite levels of military, Green Beret level. I've had so much fun doing group coaching because it's not about me. It's about the process. You just got to come up with a process. That's why I think this is so fun. And I hope you will take it seriously and you will get in the game. Just get in the game. I mean, this is fun stuff, I think. Isn't this cool? Okay. So earlier, I shared with you this idea. I shared earlier yesterday about the importance of beginning with the end in mind and driving people. Sorry, I'm sliding through this for you guys. Driving people to a coaching page. Okay. So now we're going to jump into some social media and jump into some different types of campaigns and what to do on this page. Okay, what to do on this page. So I talked about the value of a Zoom, a launch, or other sales driving people into your coaching page for your one-on-one or your group coaching. This could be either one. It's totally up to you. So I want to talk about, we're going to begin with the end in mind, what happens on this page. And then we'll talk about different campaigns to bring them in that I like to run. That, again, this might be a little more advanced than where some of you are at, but that's why we're here, having a good time together. Okay, let's talk about and break down your coaching page a little bit. I love this conversation because a lot of people get really overwhelmed with this piece. And when I break it down, they get in business, they get going. We need a video of you talking about coaching. That's what we need. Yes, you can use audio. Yes, you could just use text and a fancy picture of yourself, especially if you're sexy. Hey, sexy people, go ahead and use a picture of yourself. Pictures of me don't sell them squat. So I got to talk to the peoples. If you don't have to talk to the peoples, no problem. If you're pretty, use it all day long. God bless you. I don't have that. And this is a coaching page, not an OnlyFans page. Let's just all get your mind in the game. All right. Remember, all we're going to do is put a button down here. And this button is going to have one of three options. Do you want them to schedule a call with you? Do you want them to apply for a session or to purchase with you? Or do you just want them to buy your coaching program or your first session. Okay, that's what this page is. Now, I have found keeping this page fairly simple is important. People always ask, what do I do in this video though? So let's talk about an outline for this, okay, guys? This is your outline for your video on your coaching page. And I think that this is so straightforward and people overcomplicate it all the time. Okay, so you're going to start this video. How? Are you going to tell your life story? No. Are you going to tell your signature story? No. Are you going to talk about, what you did 7 years ago in corporate America? No. It's not about your background or expertise yet. Okay, we're going to start this straight off with your conversation is why I love coaching. That's it. You're going to start why I love coaching right off the bat. We want them to be framed like, hey, you're a coach and you love this stuff. I love coaching because, and fill it in. Then what you want to do is talk about how coaching helps your clients. How coaching helps your clients specifically. So if you've already been coaching, this would be like, I love coaching for these reasons. It helps people and I'll just use the framework we've been using previously in these couple of days of training together. I love it because it helps people in their discovery process of finding out who are they really at this stage of their life. It helps them make better decisions about what they need to quit, what they need to start, what's important to them. It gives them a little more sense of deliberate decision-making and boldness to be a little bit more assertive about what they really think, feel, need, and are driving towards. And you can talk about the process of being compassionate and challenging. You can talk about all the stuff we talked about. It's your own style. Then if you have any coaching clients or you have a specific outcome that you are coaching towards, now you're going to talk about that here, right? How it helps them. So for example, I teach high performance. So I'm going to talk about how it helps them with clarity and productivity and influence as an example. And because I'm experienced, you don't have to do this. I didn't do this in my first videos. I'm going to tell them about a specific experience. Meaning, I had one client, she was struggling with this. We worked together. She overcame that. Make sense? So examples here, if you've coached before. You'd have that piece in. Then, how do you define coaching? How do you define coaching? Like specifically, you have to realize a lot of people don't know what coaching is. I need you to put up a slide or have a sentence prepared on a card that you read to them. What is coaching? How specifically do you define coaching in your program? That's the most important thing. Now, notice what we're doing here. This is not an outline where you're just going, hey, you should get coaching and let's hop on a call. That's really hard to get people to schedule. And I know some of you have that, like, hi, I'm a coach. You should hop on a call with me and we'll work through things and find out what you need and we'll just work from there. For some of you who've tried that and you've been sold that story, you've also been victim to those terrible conversions. You're like, Brendan, people are hitting my page, but they're not scheduling. Do you know why? People are already struggling for their own definition. They don't even know why they need to hire you. Everyone write this down. People buy a point of view. People buy a point of view. I don't understand coaching already, and you're just telling me to sign up for a free coaching? What is it? What are we going to do together? What's the process? Like, what is coaching to you? Help me understand that. Help me understand your point of view on coaching. And why is this important? Because I want you, who wants clients you love? Yeah. You know what? I don't want to get on one of these sessions and talk to someone and they're like, yeah, I wonder, could you coach me through basket weaving? I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Why are you here? Because see, some of you just want everybody to talk to. No, you don't. You want to talk to somebody who wants your process. You want to talk to somebody who wants your process or your point of view. Then you're going to talk about your process. And then you're going to make your call to action. Then, if you have them, you'll run your testimonial reel. If you don't know what CTA means call to action, it means you're telling them what to do on the button. So call to action says, okay, so if you'd like to work with me on your health, on your wellness, on your leadership, in your business, your career, whatever it is you're selling, then click the button down below to schedule a free session with me, or click the button down below to apply to see if you qualify to work with me, or click down below to schedule your first session. And then they pay at the first session. Pay to schedule the first session if you choose the buy section. Okay. And then at the end, if you have clients who've ever sent you videos and they're celebrating you and they're talking about it, you'd obviously put it on the web page, but also put it at the end of the video. Any videos you have. And this is so easy today. Literally, you text your clients if you have any, and you say, hey, can you send me a video? What did you like about our coaching? Just anything they say. It's great. Okay. Now, how do we get people here? I'd like to share with you a couple campaigns that I really like to get people there. Again, we're going to go back to beginning with the end in mind. We're going to come into, this is that coaching page. But now I kind of want to bring it all together for you from things we've been talking about the last couple of days. So coaching page. So we got we're beginning with the end in mind. A couple of different campaigns I like to run. Now, we haven't talked about campaigns. Earlier, we talked about promotions, and those promotions were to get people directly to this page. I'm going to show campaigns for your broader business that will eventually lead there, but a campaign can be ongoing. Remember yesterday, for those who weren't here yesterday, I thought the difference between a promotion and a campaign. Promotion is one time direct result. Campaign is a bigger effort, right? So obviously for your campaigns, you're going to have a social media campaign. This is for scale. This is your ongoing efforts. If you don't want to, yesterday I taught, just get your first 5 or 10 clients. Here's some promotions to get your wait list going. Some of you don't want to just get your wait list filled. Some of you also want scale. Like I talked about earlier today, maybe you want a course. Maybe you want to do bigger group coaching. Maybe you want to sell a PDF. Maybe you want to sell a live event ticket or a retreat. So while this has been the end in mind for what I've been talking about with your coaching page, now we're going to talk about ongoing bigger campaigns. Okay, so what are we going to do in social media? In social media, I still strongly believe the emphasis in social media to get somebody over here to get their email. So whether we're doing DMs or we're doing posts to links or we're doing lives, I want to get them to an email page. I want to get that opt-in. Still to this day, I don't believe there's anything more powerful than building your email list. Every major player you see, if they're a top podcaster, if they're a top coach, if they're selling courses, their game is all about getting emails. Because when you have your email, then you can send a weekly newsletter. When you have your weekly newsletter, you're keeping in touch and adding value. And every future thing that you are offering builds. Everyone asks me, Brendan, what should I do with my social media following? I'm like, get emails. Well, should I do this or that? I'm like, the core campaign that you're always running is to collect emails, not to make sales. Get the emails, make sales later. Your list is your future. Your email is still the highest dollar value thing you can create. If I had the choice of 1 million fans on Instagram or 100,000 fully engaged, 40% opening emails, I'd take the emails any day of the week. You could keep your Instagram. I know that real wealth, influence, and impact comes from having someone's email, so I can direct them, so I can crowd out the noise, and so that we can take them through a sequence of things that they're going to see. So social media, you might be asking people in your reels or in your posts or in your stories to DM you something. DM me free PDF, DM me webinar, DM me this word, and I'll reply with the link where you go and you register to get that thing. Does that make sense? We're just building an email list. Don't worry. I'll talk about how it can lead over to there. But as an ongoing social media, if you're like, what should I do with social media? If I'm a coach or I want to be a coach, I'm like, be posting great value. What's the great value in your coaching business on social media? Now, here's what I'm going to have you do. We're going to work backwards to what we talked about yesterday. And remember, we talked about your session outlines. Remember the 12 boxes? Let me come back to this. What's the ideal thing for you to do on social media? Well, if you're with us yesterday, we talked about your coaching program. And we talked about, for your coaching program, you're going to have, if it's a 12-week program, you have like 12 different topics, as an example. Well, these topics become, imagine, a week of content on social media. Meaning you are building your social media value in alignment with your coaching program topics. Why? Because you want to be seen as a person who's a thought leader on the topics of your coaching program. Does it make sense? So let's say my first topic is on clarity. Well, I could do, a whole week of posts related to clarity. I could do reels, quote cards, live videos, sharing memes of other people finding clarity, sharing quotes of other people finding clarity. But make it a theme and talk about that. Then what do I do? Oh, DM me clarity. Then they DM clarity. And everyone who DMs me clarity, I drop a link to go to what? A page where it says, get my clarity chart. Give me your email and I'll give you my clarity chart. Okay, was that too fast? You're all with me. Yeah, that's how coaches build their social media following, but they also build relevant audiences. You don't want an irrelevant audience because they become very disengaged. You want people who love your stuff and who become perfect clients later on. Then what are we going to do? Okay, so let me come back to page. I really want to thank you guys for your patience. I've learned how to use this screen today and yesterday. So you get it? So your social is a breakdown of your coaching outlines and sessions. Now, some of you are like, but do I really want to talk about that? Because that's my back end, that's my offer. I'm like, yes. In fact, remember how I told you each of your session outlines you'll create 5 to 7 questions. Each of those questions could be an amazing post. Each of those questions, like, hey, one of the questions I ask to all my coaching clients is pose the question. And what I've learned where they really struggle is, and then share your expertise, share your observation, share your thoughts or insights about that topic. And so I love coaching because once you have a coaching program, it's so easy to build a little universe around your coaching program, right? You all saw me, if you've been with me for a long time, you saw me do that. You saw me do that with high performance coaching. where I built social media all around the topic of personal development, high performance. And it became a little universe of, then I created a little assessment for it. Then I created a book for it. Then I created a course for it. Then I had high-end groups, masterminds around it. And all the conversation was oriented around high performance. And so I became, quote unquote, the high performance guy, the world's leading high performance person, basically quoted by every media outlet in the world, that I'm the world's leading high performance coach. Why? Because I create a little universe around the topic, working backwards from my coaching program. Y'all follow? Yeah. See, are you pumped? Okay. I know this is dorky, but I want you to win. Okay. So you take your topics, people DM, you post, you do lives, you drive people to a page where they can get, I want to share this with you guys. This is crazy to me. This is really crazy to me. Do you know our number today, as I'm filming this, our number one highest converting campaign is still for people to opt in to get a PDF. A PDF. I mean, I create more people this week will opt in to get a PDF from me than showed up for this 3-hour training. Makes me want to cry, Argentina. So, but did you guys catch that lesson? Drive people to a page where they give you their email for a PDF. Out of everything, and I spend a lot of money out in the world to this day of our brands through a lot of different ads and campaigns, and a PDF is our number one thing. Okay, for us in this campaign, whether it's social media or leveraging social media, you could also leverage it like we do for ads. We run ads on social media, driving to a PDF. It's one of our campaigns. And then our PDF drives them to a course sale. A course sale. So then from the course sale, ultimately, we get them or introduce them into our higher end offer for coaching. So people who buy our course, we introduce to coaching at our scale, because I'm just one guy and I already have my clients are already booked. I have a team that does free group calls or free calls with people and then sells coaching. So for those, as I promised today, this would be the big picture, like scale. What does it look like long-term? But that's kind of straightforward still, isn't it? Do social media or posts related to my topic, have a PDF related to my topic, get people to opt in for it. Once I have their email, introduce them to a course sale. And if they go to course sale, eventually introduce them into coaching. This one move has driven my business for over a decade. This one simple move. Social organic or ads into a PDF or an opt-in. Now, for those who don't want to do a PDF or course sale into coaching, remember, we could just go straight to the coaching page when you're starting, because my goal for you is to get your wait list filled, meaning you have clients and you have as many clients as you want to work with. Then when you're ready, you can broaden out into courses, memberships, retreats, books, whatever you find your fancy. I just want to get you clients. I want to get you 5, 10 clients so you have the financial freedom, but also they have the fulfillment each week of like, wow, I talked to a bunch of people today and helped them. I really want you to have that experience in your life. And you all can, especially if you're still here watching, it's in your heart. This is something you wanted to do, you're interested in doing, and I can't wait to serve you doing. And I just want to say that if I didn't emphasize it enough yesterday or today, I really feel like there's a serendipity happening that you're here, but also a kindred spirit thing, that there's something in your heart that says, yeah, I actually want to help people in a more meaningful way. And I feel like we're all doing so much stuff today with social media that the meaningful piece, it just, it doesn't happen unless they go there. And I'm going to share that transparently with you, because if I set all this up, I'm running ads, I'm doing social media all day, I got podcasts and organic and YouTube and all that stuff. And, and I'm just getting emails and PDFs. You know what? That just feels like I'm a marketer. Does that make sense? And by the way, I love marketers. I love marketing. I enjoy this process. But if the process stopped here, if the process stopped with me posting on YouTube or uploading my podcast, and I got some money from mattress companies and supplement companies and car companies and credit card companies, and it feels like digital dollars and it feels like marketing. But when I actually get to talk to you and I get to learn about your family and the things you're struggling with and the things that you're going through, and we get to engage in that process of like figuring things out together, it's a very different life experience. I mean, in one way, okay, did I go through the week and create a bunch of content just to get likes and views and sponsor impressions and get checks? Or did I help a person? And by the way, I do believe that my podcasts and my books and my courses all helps people. I'm not saying those don't help people. Obviously, I met so many of you because of those things. What I'm saying is my personal sense of deeper fulfillment. Those things are fulfilling too, because they're my creative expression. They're fun because they're business building. But the sense of spiritual or deeper fulfillment is, I talked to a woman this week who's struggling in her marriage to communicate how she really feels. And we got to kind of brainstorm through that. And she got to have a conversation with her spouse. And then I got an email later like, oh, that role play we did, where you did this, I expressed that and it wasn't so scary. He like could hear me. And you said he might say something like this, and he did. And I went here, and it was like, she had a great time. They probably had sex. I don't know. Okay, just checking. I'm checking if you're here. I'm just checking if you're here. Okay. They probably had a great night that night because I got to talk with her. I know that some of you are like, that sounds so old fashioned, but I think that maybe that old fashioned part of helping people really one-on-one or in a group, it will make you come alive again. It'll get you out of your head. Some of you are in your head about social media so much. You're in your head about starting the business. You're in your head about even email. But you can talk to people. You can learn how to do this. You can put together sets of questions and you can explore things with people. And I just want to let you know that it will be more fulfilling than almost anything you ever do. We've lost the touch with humanity. We're so connected with everybody, but we're not actually talking to anybody deeply. And what I love coaching is you're talking to people deeply for weeks. You really get to see the impact. You really get to hear the stories. You really get to have a sense of engagement and meaning and fulfillment at the end of a coaching session that it doesn't happen when I create a PDF. And I love creating PDFs. It doesn't happen when I create a web page. It's just different. And I really want you to get to experience it. It's also when you get to have a group of people and you get to see them more often. Some of you know my group program, my ultra group, where it's like I get to see them twice a month. It's like, oh, I see you. How are you? Or we're at an event together and it's like, hey, and they even tell me something. I've been in your group for 3 years. I'm like, I know. Like, it's just like, it's a different level of connection, even though ultra is not my cohort group coaching. It's not group coaching. It's a mastermind more like, but you get the idea. It's like when you have an ongoing client. I have a client right now, I've been with almost 3 years. And it's amazing because we've actually gone through the same set of 12 sessions, I don't know, 5 or 6 times before I moved her on to more sessions. Because your clients in coaching, they like mastery. They like to talk with you. They want to know more. They want to go dig deeper. And I don't think you realize that sometimes when you feel alone because you're not getting to engage with people and do the real work with them. And in digital world, a lot of people actually have followers, but they feel alone because they're not doing the real work. I think conversations with other humans is one of the most fulfilling things we can do. I know I wasn't supposed to teach that right now. I'm feeling it in my heart, and I hope that some of you are vibing with it because you're here with me. I just feel like there's a reason you're here. I feel like we have an opportunity to bring more meaning and fulfillment back into this world. And so I just appreciate you all being here because you own the dream. You are the CEO. You can do this, and it can be more than just campaigns. Because I think if you're honest and I'm honest and you look out in the marketplace, everything talking to coaches starts here, campaign, right? It's like get email, get them on call, make sell. And there's no spirit to it anymore because it's often a bunch of 20-year-old kids who learned marketing from a bunch of us older guys, and they're doing it for the money thing. And they're showing the watches and the TVs and the cars and the houses, and they don't care. And they're doing a marketing gimmick to make money off of people versus enrolling people in a career and a mission and something that's fulfilling for them. And that's why I feel like so many people are empty. They've been sold empty promises and empty strategies that didn't have the heart that said, hey, this can be a career. This can be a mission. This can be a purpose. And I'm here 20 years in, not because I figured out social media and PDFs, but because I cared about people and I found fulfillment in helping them. And I hope you'll do the same, no matter where you're at. I also say all that because unless you feel that way, you won't force yourself to do this stuff. Okay? Can I tell you that? The reason I I don't like doing social media as many of you maybe do. I mean, I look at your reels and you did a reel and you showed your shake and then your kids and then the time of the day and then your outfit and then your dinner and then the thing. And that was one reel that would have taken me 7 days to make. And you just made it because you're awesome with your phone. I'm like, wow, I'm so impressed. I wish I wanted to do that. I really do. I think it's so awesome. And the only reason I do any marketing at all is for the fulfillment of actually working with people. Does this make sense to people? So I'm sharing this with you because if you aren't creating, my friends, if you've never built a funnel to get an email, to sell something, whether coaching, a course, your product, a membership, whatever it is, if you've never built a funnel, it's because you're not beginning with the end in mind. You're not connected to the fulfillment, the promise, the purpose, the mission. So you see the task as a pain in the ass. You see the task as something, why even do it? That seems like a pain in the butt. A lot of people each day never learned that you have to rev up your enthusiasm and sense of fulfillment for something in advance. You don't find it in motion always. Sometimes you got to get your mindset in that place, then get in motion or be in motion and remind yourself of the enthusiasm and the fulfillment. So let me ask a simple favor for everybody here. If you're struggling to start something or do it, start again with the end in mind. Connect to the fulfillment, the promise, the purpose, the future. Operate from there to do the thing and the task. Because I know when I start talking about social media or email, people, their eyes glaze over. They're like, oh my God, it sounds like more work, Brendan. I'm like, but you can do this. You can really do this. And when you do it, I mean, the fulfillment, but also the financial rewards, the freedom that comes from it. Start from that. All right. Hey, it's Brendan. I'm going to jump right back in here. Again, obviously, this is filmed a little bit later because as we broadcast the life coaching class, it was so popular. So many people ask, Brendan, can I just buy it? I want to own it. And the answer is yes, of course, down below. You can sign up and actually purchase not just what you saw, but the entire 3 days for just $47. That way you can watch it at your own pace anytime. And of course,
I'll throw in a free call with one member of my team to talk to you about where you are in your coaching journey. Are you just starting? Are you looking to scale? What are you doing with your personal branding? How much are you charging? Just get it kind of like a sanity check with some experts. You know, we've been blessed to do more high performance coaching than any other company and team in the world, and we're pretty good at it. And I think you talking with my team will help identify where should you grow? Where should you focus your efforts? And how can you get in the game faster? So again, just purchase my life coaching class right now for $47. You'll own it. You could talk with my team and we'll get you growing from there. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you for watching. Hey, not a lot of people really want to make a difference in other people's lives. So many people just want to transform their own, but that impulse you have, that of course you want to change yourself and change your life, but you want to help other people. I want to thank you and I want to congratulate you for that. You're the exact type of person that I want to work with in my life. So I hope you'll purchase the life coaching class. You'll talk with my team, and I hope to see you out on the road one day and give you a high five and thank you for making a difference in the world. We need you on your A game. We need you coaching people. We need you making an impact in the world. So thank you for tuning in today. I'll see you soon.